Hey, if anybody wanted to just stretch the legs or anything like that, by all means do so. Hey, that's okay because we often just sit for long periods of time and just forget that, we should be taking a little bit of a stretch or, moving around a bit. So I don't mind, you guys stretching your legs during the presentation. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just going to give everyone a bit of an update on from the National Best Practice Unit. Uh, for those of you who don't know, my name's Desley Thompson. I'm a proud Warrabara woman from the Mamu Nation of Far North Queensland. I actually live and work here on Kaurna country in Adelaide and have been here since 2016. And I'm the manager of the National Best Practice Unit and loving every minute of the job. Um, yeah, next slide, thanks, Ben. So, just like everyone else in the country, and if not around the world, we have been affected by this COVID-19. And of course, a lot of our work was, orientated around visiting our teams, having that, face-to-face contact with teams, doing workshops, a whole range of things that meant, like people being in the same room. But because of the COVID, we had to have a look at a different way of operating. So what we did do was, first of all, we thought, okay, let's see what's happening out there with our teams. So we did a bit of a survey in April, and it was basically asking these three questions. So how is COVID affecting your work? And what was the best way for us to maintain contact with you? And of course, how can we support you from a distance? Thanks, Ben. So just looking at some of the results of that, the teams that were currently working, we looked at obviously where they were working. So it was a bit of a mix, a mix from working from home, as you can see about from this diagram. So 52% there was a mix of some were working from home, and it was just like our office too. We had a few that was working from home, and others that were still working in the office. And of course, yeah, so there was a bit of a difference there, but that had changed over um, the weeks after COVID. I realised as well too, but still, we still wanted to maintain that connection and make sure that that National Best Practice Unit was there, available for you guys. Next slide, Ben. This one sort of looks at, okay, to maintain that connection, how are we going to do that? Of course, there's all different modes there, email, phone, video conferencing, even the yarning group by that time, even though we were set up in March 17, I think it was the launch date, we still had a bit of, so it was about a month until we got the survey out. And even then we could see that there was some, um, responses to the yarning group, which was, we could see almost instantly that was a good way of getting that connection there, not only with the NBPU and the TIS teams, but really from TIS team to other TIS teams as well too. So that was good, a good start, if you like, to that yarning group. And of course, we still maintained the access to online training through the TISRIC, and we looked at our Facebook page and the instant messaging as well too. Yeah. Um, thanks, Ben. Although people were saying that, they could work from home or even in the office, but did they actually have the means to be able to do, conferences like this, workshops like this, Zoom and Microsoft Teams, which I found to be really useful too, even Skype and FaceTime. So we all had to learn basically very quickly on how to use these programs and download a lot of these programs even just to get our work done. And I'm sure it was probably the same with you guys as well too. Uh, Incidentally, I'm just going to go quickly through this, and then I might even ask from the teams as well too on how they've been what some of the challenges they've had over this time, but also what are some of the good news too. Next slide, please, Ben. So we asked what could some of the barriers be, and thank goodness a lot had said that there was no barriers to be reported, but you know, in saying that it was going to be good that we could have still need the training and support there through the various modes of delivery. Okay. And of course, we can do that through the TISRIC. So every time I do a presentation, I make sure that I always mention that TISRIC is there, because that is, you know, basically our way to get that information out to you guys. And of course, we're always here to guide you through the TISRIC as well too in any way. Next slide, please, Ben. And the National TIS Workers Yarning Group, and as Professor Kelmer had said, was that, you know, even though it is predominantly for the TIS workers, we've invited other people along if they, particularly, you know, Quit Skills or the Quit Line service, where you can answer questions that you may have directly to them. Next slide, which I think is a video. Ben, and then I hope this plays. It's only like, it's less than a minute, so please play, everyone. Cross your fingers and toes. Please play. Okay, if that doesn't play, I'm going to run and jump out the window. No, I'm not. Okay, that's okay. Next slide then, please, Ben. So the where to from here for us is, of course, we'll still have the workshops that are happening, albeit Zoom, or hopefully that our next workshop is in August in the Territory. So I'm hoping that that will be a face-to-face one, but of course we'll see how that goes. We're developing a lot of resources, and of course they'll be on TISRIC as well too, and hopefully we can get some hard copies out to you all. With the yarning group, might mention that the staff of the National Best Practice Unit, we moderate. We have days on where we're rostered on. Actually, I'm rostered on today, so put that in your diaries that Desley is on there every Wednesday. So you can ask me a question straight up, or by all means add anything special that you like on there on the yarning group. And of course, the other day, if you missed our newsletter, we actually hit 100 members on there now, so that's really good. We're obviously still maintaining connection with the TIS teams through those different modes, as I mentioned previously. We also keep wanting to promote that we do have the Aboriginal community researchers out there. We've got a big one that's coming up at Catherine West, but of course that's on pause at the moment, but we're still promoting the ACRs. We had a survey that not long went out. Thank you to everybody that completed those surveys, and we'll go through that feedback, and of course that gives us a lot of guidance on the work that we do in the future. Tom did mention the National Remote Services Workshop that should be in Darwin, and we were looking at that in October, but I'll keep you posted. That is very, very, very much tentative at this stage, and of course that is for remote services there. And I also wanted to make mention that always don't forget that we're here to relay that message to every single one of you, that we're still here, and we're always going to be here to help you along if you need. Next slide. Here's my details, and of course your project officer's details if you need to. But you know what, I think we've got a bit of time now to ask some of the teams. I've pre-warned the people that I was going to ask. So I might ask Tamika from Kabul. Tamika, how have you been going there with the program, and what were some of the barriers and challenges that you've faced during this time?
It's actually Amy here. Tamika's just had to step out. So I'm the Tackle Indigenous Smoking Project Coordinator for Kabul Medical Services.
Yep.
And I was just having a chat to Tamika before about a few challenges that we've had during these times. We've had challenges mainly around clients not using or not having access to online delivery mode, so not having access to Zoom, or phone might be disconnected. So those have been our main barriers, because we went through a stage where people were not coming to the clinic. It was all done over the phone.
Yeah.
So within those times, we've created our own private group on Facebook. We've got about 15 members at the moment, and we just do polls and information posts, but we also connect through instant messenger. So we've been able to do a lot of referring to Quitline in this time, and do a bit of counselling one-on-one. A lot of benefits for us at the moment has obviously been our Facebook page. In the next coming weeks, we're going to school health checks. So we'll be able to go to the schools and do small group meetings with those children that are having their health assessments done. So that'll be really positive as well. So at the moment, yeah, we're getting a lot of one-on-one, but then they're also joining the Facebook page, or we're catching up with them later, or marking them down for a future group. So it's been, that's probably been our best that's happened so far.
Oh, that's very good. At least the work is still continuing, and you've just like us, maintained that contact out in the community, and obviously with everybody is just letting everyone know in your communities that you're still there, and again, if you're looking at beginning your quit journey, we've got a place for them to go.
Yeah,
No, that's
definitely.
really good.
Yeah, we definitely can. We can continue the support one-on-one, but we're also allowed to, have the Aboriginal health workers. So if we receive a referral from a doctor or for another health professional, we can still do one-on-ones with our Aboriginal health workers. So they're still getting that smoking cessation support. So it's very positive.
Yeah. Thanks, Amy. That's great work there
Thank you.
from Kabul. Carrie, you're in Punapima, up in Cairns, hey? But services the Cape.
For those that I haven't met, I'm Carrie from Punapima Cape York Health Council. I'll just go through very quickly a few things that I've made note of. Punapima itself services the Cape York communities, and which have, touch wood or something, successfully COVID-free to this stage.
Very cool.
There's been a huge concerted effort, I think led by Punapima, but definitely in partnership with Queensland Health, and the councils have been determined that they're going to get through this. With the Punapima, we've got a mix of community-based staff and fly-in, fly-out workers. What was I going to say? So we were somewhat familiar with working in remote teams, although, to a lot lesser degree than obviously we are now. Some of the barriers and challenges would have been internet connectivity for us up here is just horrendous. There's huge variances which compounded by the additional usage, etc. A lot of unfamiliarity with the use of Microsoft Teams, just within itself, as well as individuals within the team. That's all, and then the amount of people that are working from home created additional strain on our IT department. Other challenges, how to keep staff motivated and productive when we're working in isolation. So that's been a huge one. And we've tried to do that by having more regular check-ins, working in smaller teams, and just playing to people's strengths and realizing, you know, so marrying up someone who's particularly good at social media with someone that may not be, that would be me.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
That type of thing. Yeah. So just, again, playing to people's strengths. Some good news stories. With the increased use of technology, I think it's pushed us all out of our comfort zone. So we've had to really quickly embrace the use of technology, which is good.
It was quick too, hey? It was just
sort of
like,
overnight.
yeah.
We've had a much more strategic look at social media and how we use it to connect to our clients and that, which I thought was really good. It's encouraged and made the team much more to be more creative in how we're working and to think about how we work and connect with our people. I actually think it's been a bonus because it's almost given us time to take stock and reevaluate and look at where we are, and then how do we move forward in a much more positive and strategic direction with our work. So I'm just thinking we're working more in partnership with other, even internal stakeholders, which is really good. It's given us a chance to look at our data on, for instance, there were no smoking status wasn't recorded on a lot of people, so we've cleaned that up and we've taken that opportunity to reconnect with people. Why aren't you accessing the service? How do we get you involved? What can we do for you? So that sort of thing has been a really good news story. And I think just the last thing is that we really now appreciate the challenges that our community-based staff face. So technology, working in isolation, how to stay productive, how to stay motivated. That's been really a positive, very much so. But yeah, that's about it. Desley?
Thanks very much for that, Carrie. That's really interesting. Yeah, very good feedback. How about you, Denisha, and your teams around the state even?
Hi, yeah, thanks. So I know a lot of the guys online will probably be able to fill in a little bit more than what I know, but I guess since, you know, COVID kind of started and we weren't able to deliver any face-to-face or group or events, we decided we were going to smash social media and a whole heap of social marketing. And we've done this in collaboration with Apuna Pima as well too, and Torres Health. So Paula's team and certainly Carrie's social media team, we've done some cross promotion of some of the key messages. And given, you know, that we knew that our mob, you know, were potentially going to be impacted if they were smokers, we've pushed some specific messaging out there around, you know, quit and if you're keen to have a chat, you know, call the clinic. We've also developed, you know, additional messages on staying safe at home, being physically active. We've done a number of video clips that we've cross-promoted as well too with our services that we've collaborated with, and some specific tobacco podcasts as well too. And through that, we're getting so much more better. And I guess, you know, that's the kind of learning and upskilling is seeing how our staff have actually stepped up and are running by themselves as well too. So there's some great talent, you know, across the state with our guys who are, you know, I have no idea how to do it. So they've been doing their own sort of podcasting, you know, calling on the regional areas, you know, collecting community stories and that sort of stuff. It's been really good to see what we can do with technology. We're in the process at the moment of, you know, developing content to deliver and put our programs online. And we're using Facebook really as the conduit for this. We've had some stats which have, you know, just been blown out of the water. You know, in a month alone, we had something like 218% increase of
What?
yeah, it was just incredible from February to March, which was when COVID started to really spike in Australia. So that was incredible. We had Facebook Live, our videos were averaging about 2.2 thousand views per video. So there was some really good some data that we got back, because we monitored how that went pretty well. And of course, we've invited NBPU and Professor Tom to be part of World No Tobacco Day, where we held a specific day, Facebook broadcast. We did a week of promotion before that, which actually reached about just over 78,000 people. And we actually had people from New Zealand tuning into some of our...
my God, now you tell me.
Yeah. We've had like 1,700 people engaged with our World No Tobacco specific posts. Mm-hmm. Had some really good cut through. We've got a whole heap of other data that we can report to you as well too. But I guess, just in addition to that, now with our program delivery going online, we're not sure, what the border restrictions are going to look like in the next 6 months with this Victoria. So, we do have that contract with Tiwi Islands now. We've just had a teleconference, I think it was this week. It's just such a long week already, with Essendon and Tiwi Bombers and NT Health, just to get an MOU started and just to look at, how they're going to recruit someone, how we can support someone remotely, until we can do some face-to-face delivery and do, some systems integration up there as well too, remotely. So that's something exciting, something that is going to be a bit challenging for us in terms of recruiting and supporting staff remotely up there. Also, we've been working quite closely with Torres Health to see what we can do to support them as well too with their recruitment and their training of staff as well. Just an example, of and I guess this is kind of something that comes out of the blue is through Torres Health, we learned of a family that were pretty much stuck in Cairns. I think it was, quite a number of adults who were smokers, and they were stuck in Cairns for 2 weeks. They weren't allowed to go back to, up home because of quarantine restrictions. So they were keen to actually quit smoking. So I think Paula got in touch with us and said, how do we, support them with, some NRT, and we actually did some phone support of them and linked them in with Quitline. So that's one good success.
Right.
Yeah. And I know there's, quite a few others that the guys can actually as well too. But, we're trying to develop an online offering in terms of, accessing programs online for Deadly Choices and particularly our smoking education. So we'll see how that goes anyway, and we're keen to actually monitor how that works in the next 6 months, given that we're not sure how the face-to-face stuff will go.
Oh, very good. Boy, everyone's been really busy. Some great work there. Everyone, very good. I tell you, if I knew that.
Can I just say also during this period, Apuna Pima's realised what a beautiful voice I have, and I'm waiting any day now for a call from the voice. No, that's not true. But yeah, we're just trying to do silly songs and little things and just to entertain people, the COVID message, smoking messages, everything.
I was going to say you'll be like Tom.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Very good. Thanks, everyone. That's my presentation. Oh, but before I go, I wanted to make mention that the reports, sorry, we did send out an email around the reporting dates, which I've now found out that have changed along the way. So they're due at the NBPU on the 31st of August, right? And we'll have a look at them, review them, make comments and everything like that, and get that back to you in a fortnight, within that fortnight, and then that should give you plenty of time to lodge it with the funding agreement managers at least by the 30th of September. So the due date for the reports for the funding agreement managers is the 30th of September. Okay, and by all means, contact Ben or myself if you need a hand with any of that too. That's it from me, and just thanks to you all for that. No, that's really good, Tamika, Carrie and Denisha for helping out there, and it's good to hear your work, what you're doing. Did you have something, Tom? Sorry.
Yeah. I just wanted to find out whether anybody could provide any feedback on their relationship with the FAMs at the end of the financial year, whether whether there were any issues in relation to funding. And I know that not necessarily in Queensland, but in other jurisdictions, there were issues about carryovers of unspent funds. And so any sort of feedback would be appreciated. Unless you know all that already, Desley.
No, and that's something that we hear a lot of around the country, is that sometimes our teams do not get they get very little feedback, and the feedback from the funding agreement may well be, if you don't hear from us, it's fine. Or if it, they might even say, yeah, no, it's all good. But I think sometimes the teams are looking for a little bit more than that. And correct me if I'm wrong there, guys. Yeah, because I think, they're wanting, just to be reassured that they're going down the right path, I suppose. But
yeah, I guess, and that's going to be sorted a little bit more now that there's a better relationship between the transfer of information. I think we've partly resolved that as far as activity plans go. But this was very specific to the end of the financial year and unexpended funds,
right.
and whether anybody had any issues with negotiating carryovers.
Hello, it's Trudy from the Department of Health in Canberra. So yeah, we did, you're right, Tom, and we've talked about a particular organisation that had been carrying an underspend for a couple of years, and it sort of came down to the wire that they needed to return it. It was quite a large amount of money, and not only is that, a waste in terms of the good work that it could be doing in the community, but also it doesn't look good from the funders' perspective, and it sort of casts some doubt around, well, are we funding this program too much? Does that mean they don't need as much money, and so on? So it's always really important that organisations be really on top of, because you don't have to provide your financial reconciliations until a certain time of the year, but you should be all along the year knowing how you're travelling and managing that. And I am planning on doing a project where we work with the FAMs and they work with the NBPU to have that sort of discussion and dialogue with RTCGs, to give them ideas, because sometimes it's just a question of, I don't really, particularly during COVID, as you mentioned, Tom, I don't really know what to do with this money at the moment. And we've just heard, some fantastic examples, particularly from IUE, around social media partnering with the PINA-PIMA and other organisations. And so I think there's lots of things that can be done with that money. And it's just really important that we've been on the front foot. So we'll be helping you by working with FAMS and the NBPU to get that money spent.
Thanks.
Thanks for that, Trudy and Tom. Ben, I think that's it for me now. I think Raglan is up next, hey?
Yeah, I'll just